just going to start out by telling a little story and then going from there. So there's a story of a young but earnest Zen student who approached his teacher and asked the master, "If I work very hard and diligently, how long will it take for me to find Zen?" The master thought about it and then replied, 10 years. The student then said, "But what if I work very, very hard and really apply myself to learn fast? Then how long?" The master replied, "Well, then 20 years. "But if I really work hard at it, then how long?" the student asked. 30 years, replied the master. "But I don't understand," said the disappointed student. "Each time that I will say I will work harder, you say that it will only take me longer. Why do you say that?" The master replied, "When you have one eye on the goal, you only have one eye on your path." This is something that, when I read, it really resonated with me because I feel like a few years back, this is very much how I was living my life, and I think I faced this big dilemma of the American dream of, what society conditions us to think, the way that we should live our life, or so I sit here today, and my life is completely different than it was 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I was living and working in Washington, D.C. in a high-pressure, high-stress job, and I was living a good life. Had my own flat. I was making a lot of money. Had a lot of friends. I was going out on weekends and just enjoying. But it was like I had all those things, yet I wasn't fulfilled. And after 3 years of doing that, after I graduated and was really living that life, I wasn't happy. It was like, what am I not doing right here? Why am I not happy? I have all of these things, material things, but I still felt so unfulfilled. And I think for me, I was really trapped in this repetition of just waking up and going to work and coming home and going out on the weekends. And it was just, I finally, after 3 years, it was like, enough is enough. I don't know what it is that I need to do, but I can't do this any longer. And I really think that I was living my life a lot out of fear. I was working in this job for fear of not making money and then not having a place to live. I was doing it out of fear just because of, I think, the pressures that I felt from society, from, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go to college, and then you're supposed to get a good job, and then you're supposed to, go down that path. So I think money was a big motivational factor for me. When I really, truly believe now in my heart that passion should be the motivational factor in life. And I then decided that I wanted to be on this journey to find out what it was that inspired the passion inside of me, because I didn't know what it was. But I knew that how I felt every day, that just wasn't it. Like, there had to be more to life than that. So I think at that point it was like all the dots aligned, where it was like, all right, go figure it out, or do something, make the change. If you're unhappy, take ownership over that and really do something about it. So I really started my journey then, and I started really searching for the greater meaning in life. So I kind of just took a leap of faith, and I quit my job, and I told my parents that I was going to be leaving, and I had already booked a one-way ticket to Nepal. I didn't know, what the heck I was doing, but I just did it. My boss, I remember sitting and telling my boss, giving my 2 weeks or my month of leave, and she was really encouraging, because I told her why I was doing it. I said, I have everything here, but, I don't have the most important thing. I don't have that spark in my life. And so she was wonderfully supportive, and I remember sitting down with my parents and telling them, I'm going to leave, and I don't know when I'm coming back. So I'm setting out on this journey. And they were so incredibly supportive. They had their reservations, their fears of their daughter going out and traveling on her own, in a country that I've never been to. I'd never been to Asia. So Nepal is in between China and India, if you don't know. I didn't know where it was before I booked the flight. I was like, I don't know exactly where it is. I should probably pull out an atlas and check it out. And there was just this pull to take me there. I don't even know why I decided to go to Nepal of all places. It was, I still think back and I don't know what it was, but so anyways, so I went, I packed my backpack and I set out on this journey. I had contacted an orphanage there, and knowing that, I'd want something to do and something planned when I was there. So I went and I spent 6 months at this orphanage, and then I ended up going on this trek in the Langtang range, which is in the Himalayas, which was incredible. And I quickly became friends with a Nepali along the way, this Nepali guy. And we, were trekking for weeks, and we started talking about things, and he says, well, after we got to know one another, he said, well, what do you think of the idea of starting a school in my village together? And I had already spent 6 months in Nepal, so really thinking about the education there, the lack of quality education. I mean, working with the orphans every day on their homework, the quality of education there is so poor. So when he said, what do you think of this idea of starting a school? That was his passion. His passion was to be in his village and teach those children there. And so I said, I've been thinking about this, not starting a school in your village, but I've been thinking about education where, Nepal is a country that has been just ravaged by, war and corruption. And I really see that so many of those problems stem from education or a lack thereof. So I agreed. I said, let's do it. Let's just do it. So we met with the village elders, and we received their blessing, and we got started straight away. We started, I took a bus ride back into Kathmandu, and I emailed my family and my friends, just telling them about our plan to build this school, or that we were going to do it, and if they wanted to support in any way, you could send money or whatever. So, but we didn't wait for that. I had money, I had worked those 3 years in DC, so I had saved money, and so I used that money to start the school. And Sudan, my friend, he had moved out of their family home, and that's what our school is today. We renovated that, and had the benches made, and so that's where our school is now. And our whole mission behind education is, not, because over there it's rote learning. Everything is memorization. Kids aren't taught to think outside the box. They're not taught to think critically, to solve the problems of the world. They're just taught to think, in one path. And our vision and our mission really behind starting this school is to say, how to give them the tools to hopefully solve the problems that their country faces someday, or the world faces. But it's also just to say, I really truly believe in all of us that are working together in this, that each and every one of us that are put on this earth, we're owner of a unique talent, of something that we were born with. And I want for each of our students to be able to be given the platform by which to explore that and find out, what it is they're great at. And I think that all of us, I know that I was yearning for it, to find, what was my greater calling in life? It's not just to get up every day and, cook your kids breakfast and go to work and come home and cook dinner, and then, there's something so much greater for each of us. And I yearn for everyone to, take the leap of faith and let go of the fear of the unknown and seek that out, and take that journey. Because once you do, and once you find what it is that, lights that flame and lights that spark, it's like, I honestly feel as if I was living my life in black and white before, and it was like when I found this, when I feel like I found my calling, which was to help others, and I feel like is to help others find what it is that they are to do in life. It's like life just becomes this vibrant, colorful thing, and yeah. So I think my life is so extremely different now, and I'm just looking back on it sometimes. Like I lived there full time, and I got back to the U.S. A couple of weeks ago, but I'm quickly reminded of all of life back here. As soon as I step off the plane and I find myself in New York City, it's like, it's probably not the best place to fly into, because it's just like culture shock straight away. I should probably fly into Chattanooga or something. That slow shift between cultures, or but I think that I made the choice to leave all of my material possessions behind, and in search of greater meaning in my life. And there hasn't been one day over the last 3 years that I've ever looked back and regretted any of the decisions I've made. I've never looked back and missed, my apartment in DC, or my car, or, my clothes, or anything like that. And it's like, I don't know, I just come back and I see so many people that are living here and they're truly not happy, but they try to fill that void with all those material things. And it's like, I don't know, I found true happiness and bliss when I left all of that, and I can fit all my belongings in a backpack, and it's like, why? And I live in a rural village, in Nepal, that, there's one light bulb per house. It's still all subsistence farming. There's, you don't even have the privacy to bathe. You bathe in a public tap. You cook by fire, and it's like, that is my life now, and I would not want anything other than that. So I don't know, I think that I just really believe that when you seek out, or when you open yourself up, if you want more out of life, if you truly want more, if you open yourself up and say, I'm ready for these things to start happening, they will come into your life. Like I was at that point where I was like, I'm ready. I'm ready for change. I'm ready for some answers. I'm ready to have that spark. And I feel like I've really opened myself up to it. And then those things started to flow through my life. And it's like, but when you're closed off and you're like, well, that couldn't be me. Or, I can't do that. I have a job. I have a mortgage. I have this and that. It's like, well, you're not open to those things happening in your life. It's like when you really open yourself up, these things start to come into your life. And it's almost like you have to pinch yourself. It's like, how is this all just flowing like so incredibly well? Like why is it happening and with such ease, because I think that when you make that mental shift, like that it all comes. Is it working? Okay. And I just I really believe that we're dreamers, we're thinkers, we're artists, we're writers, we're doctors, and I believe that every single one of you sitting in this room today really has that within you. Maybe some of you have found it, but maybe some of you haven't, but you're looking. Or maybe you're at that point where you're like, yeah, I get it. I think I want that, or I think I want to experience that. I want my life to be different in that way. And so why I'm here today is I want to encourage each and every one of you, if you want that, if you have that within you and something is stirring like inside, to just be open to the idea that your life can be whatever it is you want it to be and envision. And maybe you don't even know what it is. It's like, we were talking last night, and it's like, you don't know what it is necessarily. Like, my uncle was telling me last night, and it clicked. It was like, God doesn't give us the whole vision at once. He doesn't say, well, if you go and do this, then this will happen. If you go to Nepal, well, then you'll meet this guy randomly hiking in the middle of the Himalayas, and he'll ask you to build a school, and you'll build it, and it'll be successful, and, and life will start rolling. Like, you don't have that picture painted for you. Hence, there is that fear and anxiety of like, well, if I take this leap of faith, is it all going to work out? But that's the whole thing. You don't know if it's going to work out. But you just have to have faith in whatever you have faith in, to go for it, and know that even if it isn't successful, it won't be failure. It'll be so many lessons learned, and that's just one of the things along the path. Like, one of my friends recently told me, because one of the reasons I came back to the U.S. was to raise money for a new school that we're building. And I realized that it was really hard to raise money in Nepal. So I decided to come back to the U.S., and I was sitting, this was when I was in New York like a week ago, and we're sitting just outside. He's an architect who's helping us design the school. And we're sitting there just at a cafe outside. I think I was kind of at my, I'd been in the U.S. now for a month, meeting with people, potential donors, and I kind of like just hit a wall, and I was like, what am I doing here? I bought a ticket to come back to the U.S. Like, that was a lot of money. And for hopes of raising all the money in the next couple months to then build our school. And I was like, I've been traveling. I got in a car in D.C., and I made my way via driving, car, bus, train, hitchhiking, to San Francisco and then back to New York in a month. And I sat there with him, my friend Ben, and I was just like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I was like, I haven't raised $1. And I was like, maybe I should just go back to Nepal. I was like, I've never fundraised before. I was like, I'm just lost right now. And he just looked at me, and he was like, maybe you're just looking at it in the wrong way. He was like, you're focused and fixated right now on raising this money. That's your goal. You're raising this money to build the school because that is going to enable you guys to continue running this, because after this year, we'll have used up every single classroom in our current school building. So he was like, your goal is to raise this money. He was like, but that's not the point. It's like, take it, because we were on the subway before. He was like, just take your life. Like, you're on the subway. You're on the subway in New York, and there's all these stops along the way. And he was like, your end destination is like getting to Brooklyn, but, you're on it's all of these stops along the way. That's what is the journey. That is your life. All these things that happen and, are unexpected. It's like, forget about Brooklyn. Forget about the money. Like, it's going to come. If you're on this journey, it's all these stops along the way that are, it's the people you meet, and you envision yourself. It's like when you're open and flexible and say, like, I envision my path to be this way, but if it goes this way, like, it's for a greater reason. Like, go with the flow, and have faith that it's going to take you in the direction that you're asking for. And I think that when he told me that, he was like, just embrace everything along the way. Like, look at all the people that you've met in this past month, all the connections that you've made, just how your life has changed in those last 4 weeks. He was like, forget about it. The money's going to come. Like, just embrace what is happening right now. And I think for me, like, that really helped me, just kind of like let that fear go, let the anxiety go, and really just say, like, all right, like, I'm not losing faith that this is all still going to work out. I was feeling a little anxious before. Like, I got back on track. I got back in that mindset where it's like, just, I think when you try to do good work and you try to work honestly, things will fall into place. So, I just want to encourage each of you today to don't stop searching for what it is that ignites that flame, that is that spark for you. Because each of you sitting here today, maybe you found it, but maybe you haven't, and maybe you haven't even thought about taking that leap and even searching for it. But I just think, like, when you find what it is, like, something will click. I think that's cool. Yeah. And here are just some photos. We can even turn the lights off. I'm kind of done talking. I mean, for what I'm saying. But also, if any of you are interested in talking afterwards, I'll be around for the day. Or we have a website you can go to if you want to learn more about the project, our school in Nepal. Also, there's a potluck that my aunt, Shelley Litchfield, is having today. So if any of you guys at 2 o'clock, if any of you guys are wanting to come and just hang out or talk more, you're more than welcome to join us there. So you can talk to me afterwards. And these are just some pictures from Nepal and the school and our students.
Students do you have?
We have 105. So we started the school 2 years ago, and if anyone has questions, you can go for it. We started out because we're building our own curriculum. So we started out just having it from nursery to first grade, and then the last 2 years. So the next year we added second grade, and then the year after that this past year we added third grade, and it'll go up to 10th grade. And this is the whole idea is that this will be a pilot project. It'll, we're building our curriculum. We're training all local teachers. building schools. Right now we're designing an eco school and working with an architect and engineer, both in the US and Nepali. So the idea is also to have the physical infrastructure of our school really reflect what we're teaching at the school, to say you can use local renewable resources, we can train local labor, because what we're doing at the school and really incorporating into the curriculum is, having extracurricular classes, which they don't offer in Nepal, having art and photography and Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, music, theater, all of these things, all of these creative avenues to say, whatever it is you are, whether it's going to be a sculptor or a doctor or a creative writer, it's like just laying the ground for them to say, try all these things, say like, I really like that. That's fun because our students walk on average an hour and a half to school every day, and they're ages 3 to 12. So they really make the effort to be there. And their parents make the effort, and for all of us that are, at the school teaching and saying that if you're putting all that effort in, like, hopefully it's going to be, fun. When you're don't you just want education to be fun when you're that age? So we're really trying to create that environment for our students.
Do you ever get local resistance for educating the girls? Because it's such a, I know they're in, I had a friend that went recently to help with sex trafficking documentary that he's making there.
Yeah.
And he said there that the girls, they're just certain that they're educated, they're prevented from being educated a lot.
Yeah, definitely. There it is. We haven't come up against resistance yet, but I think it's because the girls are still young. They're under the age of 12. It's once they are around the age of 14 that a lot of them drop out of school because their families, a lot of them are married off at that young of an age. But the girls are just seen as lesser individuals. So if a family has, if they have 2 kids but they only have money to send one to school, then they're definitely going to send their son. And then, but it is something that I think about and that we think about together, because I know that in a couple of years when our girls are 14, like, we are going to face that. But that's also why we try to really work closely with the community members and their parents to really get them on board with why educating the parents on why educating their children is so important.
So these people are Muslims?
The majority of them, like 98% are Hindu, or maybe 97%, and then some are Buddhist. But at our school, it's a mix between Hindu and Buddhist.
So what's your main goal as an educator to
It's
bring the gospel?
No, it's to educate the kids, to educate
The West did that in Thailand.
Sorry?
The West did that in Thailand.
The West.
The West, the missionaries. The
Yeah.
people
Oh,
from-
yeah.
The Christians did that in Thailand.
Yeah.
The percentage of Christians never changed. They're just more educated.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to. My point is, what's our world vision as Christians? Are we sharing the gospel, or are we educated? Because education will get it. The most educated people in the world are Jews. If
that's
we don't
not.
change their hearts, we haven't done anything. I'm not trying to throw water on you.
No, that's fine.
I'm just speaking from my heart.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
No, and I appreciate that. I think, our mission is really because they don't have an opportunity to be educated. They don't have an opportunity to receive a quality education. And it's really I went over there as a Westerner. I'm such an outsider, but I've become a part of this small community because of the time that I've lived there and spent with them and learned about their culture and learned about their religion. And I think that I didn't want to go into it because I've read a lot about it, I've seen a lot of projects, pushing any of my thoughts, any of my Western ways in terms of religion, in terms of education. I didn't want to push that on anyone. I wanted these people to flourish in their environment and to help provide that platform. And one of my goals also is not to say, not bring in these Western views and say, what we do here is better than what you do here, and you should move into the city and get a job, and you should learn how to use a computer and learn how to use a cell phone, and say, because I think this culture is incredibly special and beautiful, and it's cultures like this that are dying out because Westerners come in and say, this is the way that you should do it. I don't believe that. That is not something that I want to do. I actually want to do the opposite. I want to say, let's preserve this culture. Let's provide opportunities in ways that you can be productive and you can flourish in your own environment. Set up small businesses, help them come up with ideas how to be productive and stay in their village, where there is such a huge trend, not only in Nepal, but in other developing countries. It's where everyone is leaving the rural areas and they're moving into the city. It's becoming overpopulated, overcrowded. In Kathmandu, there's not clean drinking water. There's no electricity. The living conditions in Kathmandu are so poor, and people are leaving beautiful places like that because, they think that they need to go to the city to put their kids in a good school, as well as, become a taxi driver. When in fact they do that, and their life, the quality of life just is horrible there. So what we're encouraging and trying to do is, provide an opportunity for them to be productive, for them to stay in their village and live there. So, yeah, that's one of the missions as well. I'm gonna cut off.
Thank you, Brooke, for coming in and sharing.
Be the central, that's the main vision. And from what I hear, just from listening to what you say, my own personal feelings is, seems like God's on the back burner.
It's not on the back burner for them. They're very devout Hindus and Buddhists. And so, I understand where you're coming from, but that is very important to them.
My point is, how many people in that village, since you've lived there a long time, have you won? Are they still just got a wall up there Hindu and that's the way they're going to be, and you just leave them as a Hindu and don't?
Yeah, and I think when I was presented, I'm not over there trying to convert anyone. That's not what I'm trying to do at all. It is about education for us. So I guess it's never been one of my missions.
In the school, do you teach Bible though?
No.
No.
Mm-mm. So I'm getting that. Yeah, I have to run. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
And